I hope you're all keeping well. It's a absolutely beautiful day here in the northwest of Ireland, and it has been for about a week now. We've had a glorious springtime weather, and I hope you're all keeping well. And it's time for planning new things, moving on, trying new stuff, and so on. Classico Stara elements in charge. This video may be poor quality or constantly break up. I don't know. This will be one that a digital gin will be trying to savage. But this Thomas Sheridan channel has now hit 40,000 subscribers. Now I know that's nothing compared to other people, but to me, I'm over the moon about it. I was hovering at 20 to 23,000 subscribers for probably 6 or 7 years. It never really went down, and it never really went up, and it made no sense to me, because at the time, if I went on and did a show on someone else's channel, and that's still the way it is today, if I do a show on someone else's channel, I'm usually the most popular guest, or one of the most popular guests. Like, I went on Anthony Peake's and Sarah Jane's excellent Patreon, I think pronounced, YouTube series, or video series, and I was the #1 guest on that, and there was some pretty major heavyweights on that too as well. So I never really understood why it never went up or down. It just seemed to hover it. But in the last since about Walpurgis Night 2019, it kept going up and gradually, and then by the end of 2021, it was like it was really moving. So it's really only the last 2.5 years that the channel has jumped. So that was really interesting how that happened. But anyway, I hit the 40,000, or well, I'm probably just about to hit the 40,000 thing, and I've got 38,000 on the Thomas Sheridan 2 channel, and I've got 14,000 on Beyond Room 313. So between the 3 channels, I've got about 100,000 subscribers. And I know an awful lot of you now don't even watch my videos on YouTube. You watch the backups, and they appear on Odyssey. And like, again, I still, like, if I do a show, I always seem to be the #1 guest or near the top. And so thank you for having the patience to stick with me all these years. I mean, I remember when I got 10,000 subscribers, I thought I was over the moon. I thought that would be the highest I'd ever get. But to actually hit 40,000 now on this one channel, it's just mind-blowing to me that there's 40,000 people out there that bothered to hit that subscribe button. And some of you have been here from the very start, from 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And, thanks. I'm truly humbled by the fact that you still find me interesting and not a pain in the arse. And, I'm producing stuff that's keeping you interested. That's always been a thing with me, that. I mean, I never try to repeat myself. I always try to, to stay interesting. Because I'm not interested in a trick. I wouldn't do this if I was. So thank you very much. And if it never goes any further than 40,000 subscribers, I'll still be over the moon. If it stays that or goes, I don't care. The fact I just made 40,000 is just like, I can't believe it. And so thank you for that. Thank you so much. And so, wow, So moving on from the 40,000 subscriber, hit number I've hit, and onto more general matters. It's been a very interesting time lately. It's been a very powerful, magical time. It's a very powerful, magical time with the element of nostalgia being very, very big right now. I know a lot of people have been mentioning that to me, that they're feeling, I think especially in Ireland and in the UK, with the weather being nice like this. And though I find these kinds of like long shadow days in spring and in autumn to be very nostalgic-y. Memories of the past come up, and people you knew and stuff like that. And normally I'm not like that at all. I just forget. Like, so, there I was doing some spring cleaning out in my workplace, which has like tons of like dream journals, magical diaries, you name it. And I come across 2 pages that were inserted into a book from about 2012, but the pages were from 2011. And it's funny, I picked them up and remembered what they were because I had a friend back then, and he went bonkers with the whole Richard Dawkins thing. He used to be kind of casually interested in stuff that I was interested in, and I used to throw him my copies of 14 times, and he'd have a look at them and stuff like that. And he never was anything. Suddenly he starts hanging out on one of these Richard Dawkins skeptical debunker forums, and he becomes like a zealot overnight. And and became kind of hostile to me and my not to me as a person, but to my beliefs. And started giving me a hard. And I've never even brought up the concept of needlecraft. It never interested me at any level. I had no. It wasn't in my frame of consciousness. And he said something about the polio jab and how that saved the West and things like that, and all the other diseases. And I says, I don't think. I think that they do help. They did help, but I think the number one reason why infectious disease collapsed in the West was because of sanitation and sewage programs and better drinking water. And he went through the roof. He literally lost his mind. And he started talking about needlecraft and inoculations like they were religious objects. And it was the proto version of the I fucking love science type. And he just could not. It was bizarre. And then he stopped like talking to me and this stuff like that. And anytime I spoke about something, he would kind of slag me off, like I said I was interested in like this, that, and the other. And he'd say, he says, no, you have to trust the science, not trust the science, but he says, like, the science on all these things has been done. He says, Thomas, you can go and have your theories about your megaliths and stuff like that, but it's not real. That just, mainstream archaeology has proved it. And it went from being like, it got really shitty about it. And I wouldn't be I'm not the type of, and me, I don't argue with people or anything. Like, that's why I'm often asked to go on mainstream TV and, or mainstream radio and discuss with people off the mainstream my beliefs. I never do it because I won't go there. I won't acknowledge it. So I don't argue in that sense. And I don't even debate because you can't have a debate about many things anymore because the way the world is. So, and anyway, what I'm always implying and putting across in my work from day one is a philosophical thesis of the construct, an open dialogue. I'm not saying I'm the ultimate arbitrator on any one subject. And he knew that too as well. So he just stopped. He just ignored me and never had anything to do with me again. And I was very, it happened in 2012ish or 2000. No, it happened in 2010 or 2000, late 2009 or 2010. And I was very upset about it. My feelings were really badly hurt by it. Because, why should a friendship end over his stumbling upon a skeptics forum and starting believing everything he read? I guess it was a foreshadow of what's today. And this is where it gets important. So I jotted down some notes. And I was just like mulling and kind of like half, someone upsets you, you're half laughing at the reason why, you're half like very hurt by it. And I jotted down a syringe that I drew first, pointing up like a space rocket. Oh, that was another thing we fell out over, space travel. I was saying that, like, I said that, like, the space travel has been a terrible disappointment. And he was talking, and I said, I don't believe they can go to the deep stars. And he was like, what are you talking about? You know nothing about space travel. So that was, I drew a rocket in the shape of a syringe. And then I kind of did the sides to make it look like a church. And I wrote in the Church of the Immaculate Vaccine or something like that. And then on the other side of the page, I just did like, a kind of like, I don't know, it was a face. And it was probably the face of the kind of people he was hanging out with. And I wrote swap shop, like to to indicate that he swapped his friendship with me for these other people. And underneath I drew another picture of a syringe with bat wings. And there it was, all there. And then I found the thing yesterday, and there it was, all there. What was to come in the last? I'll just put the link to it below. What was to come in the year ahead? It was like, and it was like bizarre. Now, I'm not the kind of person that when a relationship or a friendship ends that I go Googling these people's names. That's mostly a chick thing anyway. Men don't really do that. That's a woman thing. And men don't really do nostalgia. They don't in that sense. So like, and I was always the type that like, if somebody hurt me, I just moved on. I just forgot about them. I'm still like that, and I'm not the type who, like these people who Google their ex-husband and say, "Oh, I bet he's horrible," and often when they Google their ex-husband or ex-wife, they find out that they're doing really well. They're almost like punished for doing it instead of finding out that they're. I mean, when those like years ago, when those kind of like psychopath and narcissist recovery forums, they'd be all like going on about how horrible their ex's life was, and and you'd look on the page and the person was doing okay, and often it was jealousy that the other person was happy and had moved on and was successful. So, and I was always saying, well, you shouldn't be really doing that. It's very unhealthy because you should be concentrating on your own future and not the future of people who you can't change in any way. And so, like those people all went crazy. These anyone who spends their time constantly making a fake account and going on to someone, say like an ex's or someone they don't like or an ex-friend, they're clearly mentally ill. These people. That's a sign of mental illness, because it doesn't serve any purpose other than to feed an addiction or something like that, and there's no win in it. And even if you're after shot and fried and you do get it, what does that do in your life? How does that produce anything and work in your life? It doesn't. So anyway, I'm not that kind of person, and I never have been. And years ago, I discovered something which I came to call archetypal entanglement. And let me tell you, it's absolutely true. And when you watch this video, you will thank me for this, because you will start seeing it's true in your life. This is an important video, actually. This is one thing. This is me, Uncle Thomas sharing his knowledge with you. Consider the 40,000 subscriber spectacular special. When you don't have anything to do with people that have hurt or damaged you, like an ex-husband or an ex-wife, and you just move on and you don't Google their name or you don't just get on with your life, they will manifest in another form. You know what I'm always talking about? Like all your life, you meet the same people over and over again. You encounter the same archetypes, and until you learn how to break from an unhealthy attachment to that type of archetype, they will always come back over and over and over again. Therefore, the woman who's always marrying the loser, or always ending up in a relationship with the loser, or the abusive guy, or the sad sack, or the wife beater, or the alcoholic. The man who always ends up with the pussy whipped, always ends up with pussy whipped, with the same borderline archetype, nasty woman, treats him bad, cheats on him, that kind of thing, over and over again, humiliates him. The humiliation one, the kind of thing. And these archetypes, and then the same kind of person at work, they come up again. The same kind of bully at work comes up again, and all this. And these archetypes exist to remind you that they will keep coming back unless there's something within how you live or how you even relate to them must be changed in order to defeat them. So it's very much in that kind of monomyth thing. So an example would be, you go to a certain job and there's a certain type of manager or whatever there. Oh God, not this guy again. He's just like Jeff from the old place and Paddy from the previous place, that kind of thing. Until you learn not to give a shit about that archetype, and just go to the job and say, no matter what happens today, I'm going to go out and lose myself on somewhere else. It will keep repeating in your next job. And then you'll realize, well, what is this? The whole point. I keep going to work in places where I'm going to meet those fuckers. And the same thing with relationships. These women will go, why do I always end up with losers? Well, or abusive men. And then you say, or drug addicts, or nothing wrong with being a drug addict. I mean, lots of decent people are drug addicts, but you know what I mean. The same thing. Until you realize that there's something in you that's bringing you to that point, you will continue to make that mistake. So we're talking in kind of a similar context, okay? The recurring, repeating archetype. But this one is different altogether, because the individual that you've broken contact with, or sorry, that you're in no contact with, and have no connection with anymore, a compensatory archetypal entanglement coupling will manifest in your life, and they will be a reflector of what the internal psychic state of the real individual actually is. So, I'll give you an example. Right, you you have you're in a relationship with a man or a woman, right? And it ends and it breaks off. And if you're someone like me, you say, well, fuck that, and you move on with your life, okay? And you're not the kind of person who gets nostalgic or Googles their name or looks them up or anything like that. You just say, because you know it's inherently not healthy, and it's dangerous, and it stops you from moving on and healing. So you move on with your life. You will find that a few years down the road, you will encounter someone that takes an issue with you. This is interesting. For no reason. So someone in your workplace that picks on you for no reason. And then you'll suddenly dawn on you, hold on a second, uh, 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 that's my ex-husband. That's the archetype of my ex-wife. And what you're seeing there is that individual, whether they're successful or whether they're decrepit, are an archetypal entanglement of the person that you left, and you're seeing them again. And so you don't see, when you live in this kind of like pagan, occultic, magical mindset, you don't need to do anything to know how the other person is doing, because the entangled archetype will appear as a reflection of the internal psychic state of the person that you'd left years ago, or had, because they will show up in a different way. So if they show up as someone like a crazy nut job, you know that the other pair, and it'll always be some reason why they'll show up around the time that you broke off from this, you broke up with this person. They will show up at this time that they started divorce proceedings. They will show up at the time they got you sacked from a job. They will always, the archetypal entanglement individual will appear around the same time. And you'll go, fuck me, that's him. Good God, that's her. And you're realizing that, there's a familiarity there. And the familiarity there is that you're seeing the psychic state. Now, they don't have to look like them, but they do generally have to, they do have to be the same gender. Sorry, wokies, but there really is such a thing as gender. But they will be the same gender. And you'll realize after a bit, why is this fucker picking on me? What's this about? And then you go, oh fuck me. It's the ex-wife. It's my ex-boyfriend. It's my ex-boss in a different body. But what you're seeing, and then you'll say to them, wow, they're looking very confident and self-assured, and they seem to be doing okay. And then you know that the person that they're entangled to, the individual that while you were close to in your life, is doing okay and happy in real life. Conversely, if they show up to be like a psychiatric basket case that's attacking you, what you're saying is, well, that's how the ex-wife or the ex-husband or the ex-business partner is, and it's real. These are you start thinking now. These archetypal entanglements are real, and therefore, this is the hero's journey thing again. You don't have to go through life wondering or hoping that someone did the dirty on you. You don't have to worry about them or be obsessed with saying, I hope they fail, I hope they fall apart. Because they never will, as long as you're going, I hope they will. Ooh, they'll get it. Ooh, they'll get it. It won't happen. You'll find the opposite happens. You find, fuck me, they're actually doing better than ever. And the reason they're doing better than ever is they're untangled from you at a consciousness level, but you are not untangled from them. And what's happening is you're drowning yourself, obsessed over them, while they're moving ahead. They don't even think about you anymore. And that's why all these types. You ever notice all these over the last 10 years? I have noticed many websites on say YouTube channels usually, where some fucking loser decides that he's going to be the one to attack everyone in alt media, and he'll make nasty little videos. She will make nasty little videos about this other person. In every single case, those fuckers have either like died or vanished or ended up in mental hospitals, without a doubt. Because if they say have a problem with say David Icke or me or anyone, okay, they don't like, and they spend their time making videos about them, and what happens is they're prisoners of them. They're prisoners of them, and when they're prisoners of them, what happens is they can't move on because they're shackled. They become shackled to their aspects of them having an issue with this individual, and what they're really doing is feeding them their energy, and that's why they end up either dead, getting cancer, having nervous breakdowns, their marriages and their friendships and their lives falling apart. It's because they're obsessed with getting back at this person that never did anything personal to them, even if they did do something personal. There was one guy I remember years ago who started making videos about Jordan Maxwell, and the title of the video was something like "Jordan Maxwell Destroyed My Life," or something like that. And it turns out it didn't. This guy just thought he was going to ride on Jordan Maxwell's tails or something. And Maxwell obviously lost interest in him for good reason, we'll have to see later on. But this guy, you could actually see the psychiatric deterioration in each video he made attacking Jordan Maxwell. It was fucking fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And you could see him dying. And that's what happens to these types. That's what they throw all their energy into that. And this is what happens. And they're often the ones who are in quantum entangled to someone else in your life. So always remember that. The ones who come after you like that are making a god of you. They're actually feeding your charisma while depleting their own. That's just what did Oscar Wilde said. There's no such thing as bad. The worst thing, the worst thing than people talking about, just people not talking about you. My God, was that a profound comment? That was a very esoteric comment. Well, he would now. He's big shot in the Apollo Lodge in Dublin, and you will see that. I've seen them over the years. They will start a little YouTube channel attacking people within the alt media. They might get a little bit of attention from the dregs of the internet, and then you will actually physically see them falling apart in the videos, and you can actually have mental illness rising. It's fascinating to watch. And then they all disappear, dissipate, vanish. I had one asshole here in Ireland who tried that. His wife and kids left him for another guy, and his family put him in a psychiatric hospital on possible grounds of paedophilia. That's why his wife took the kids away from him. And I've seen it all the time. It's the same thing happens if you're obsessed with anything. If you're obsessed with like satanic pedophiles, let me tell you something. The only way the worst non-semantic truthers were sharing the most. At the first time in my life I've ever seen anything close to child pornography, and it's evil. And it's a picture of a man with a little girl. Now, there's not a sex act involved, but it's obviously a pedo thing going down. And you can't see the guy's head. And next to them, they have a picture of, Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, on a bed, smoking with no shirt on. And they're trying to say that that's a picture of Hunter Biden. No evidence at all that it is him. It's not him. But they were sharing this photograph of this child that you could see the kid's face. And I was like, hold on a second. And they're going, let's kill these pedos. Let's kill these fucking nonsense and stuff. And yet they were actually pedos themselves. And I saw that so many. There was one guy about 6 years ago who was a wild nonce-manic in the truther scene. And suddenly we hear he's dead one weekend. And then what did we find out? The police found kiddie porn on his laptop. He lived in England. And here was a guy going around going to expose all these pedos and all this. It's a queer basher thing. So while it's repugnant and evil that these fuckers exist and do this to kids, be fucking wary of the ones who are obsessed with like hunting them, because they're just like, a lot of them are just like the queer bashers who are outside the gay pubs because they haven't got the nerve to put a dick in a guy, but they'll put a fist through his face. It's the same thing, or a boot in his face, or kick him in the balls because they really want to suck it. And there's some weird, creepy shit goes down with all those bunch. But the same thing happens to them. They become obsessed with this thing and they fall apart. Never become quantum entangled with something that will eat you alive. And again, if you know someone who say, like for instance, if you say a couple that breaks up, here's a great one. I know couples in England that broke up over Brexit, and I heard even loads of stories about it. And it's just like the thing with the Rona and everything. That were one where she didn't give a fuck about Brexit, and he was obsessed with it. And then he's spending all day online, ignoring his wife and kids, fighting about we must get, we must get remain, we must get back into Europe, blah 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 blah, like a compulsion. And she walks off and leaves him. Down the road, she sees a guy in the streets howling to himself, a homeless vagrant, and she looks at him and goes, "Oh, that's my husband. That's my ex-husband." That's an example. She's realizing that that's where he is now. That's how he ended up. That's not him actually, but she doesn't need to know that's where she is. That's it. It's an energy level. You can kind of feel it. Oh fuck me, that's him. You just know it. This is fascinating stuff. You're getting an insight into here, and I guarantee you, when this video is over, you'll be going, Jesus Christ, that Irish asshole is right. Fuck me. Yeah, that was my sister. That's my brother-in-law. You'll find you'll be like this after this video ends. Light up the comments below, tribe. Light up the comments below. And just don't mention people's real names. And a lot of that kind of thing. Fucking fascinating. Fascinating stuff. But that's when you become entangled with somebody as a friendship, as a relationship, in a business partnership, and it ends badly, your job is to immediately cut and run. And that's the end of it. And if you try to, it's like the whole thing of, it's like, I know so many fellas are such, not pussies, but they're trying to be the nice guy. And they say, oh, she left me for another fella, but we're still friends. Yeah? Yeah. I wish her the best. Yeah? Yeah, I do. No, you don't. You're fucking broken inside. So what are you going to do about it? Oh, she calls me up now and again and told me about her and her fiance are getting married. Change your fucking phone number. Block her. And when you find that they do that, he starts immediately healing, and then he soon meets a nice other girl. And then, a few years down the road, he sees his wife in another form, or his girlfriend in another form. She's either happily married with a couple of kids, or she's absolutely miserable with the fella that she left him for. And you know what? This is the interesting thing. When you're detached from it and you engage with the archetypal entanglement version, there's tremendous healing power in it. Tremendous healing power. Because you don't care. You say, she's happy and you have to do doing well. And, or else she's absolutely miserable and he treats her like shit. Your attitude towards both of them is neutral. You're saying, oh, okay, so that's how it is. You don't gloat because she's in a bad way, and you're not jealous because doing well. You're just like, oh, so that's how it is. And when you recognize it's phenomenal healing, because it's the neutrality of the experience, that's the purpose of the archetypal entanglement. See, there's a reason for everything in the universe. Now, the reason for the archetypal entanglement is to heal you. But the universe won't let you heal until you're broken from the actual original one. When you're broken from the original one, the universe then begins a process of healing you so you can move on. And you move on and you see them in that archetypal entangled form down the road. You don't even know if the real one is alive, dead, happy, dead from the Rona. You just don't know. You're not or happy or a millionaire or living the dream. You just don't know, and you don't care because you've got your own life to work on. So much Jealousy is one of the worst things that the human race has. And I'll tell you why. Because the ultimate poison of jealousy is it robs those who are envious of their own potential. It robs them. I don't have any jealousy in me or any envy. I never had. I never even had that experience. Like I've had people describe it to me, and I'd be like, oh, I've never felt that way, really. Oh, you know, like when your man had that like really beautiful girl, or he got himself that like really flash motorboat and stuff. Did you not like a fucking jammy? But no, just never thought about it. It's just what it is. What it is. He got what he wanted. And, that's what his thing is. It's and those ones you'll find never get what they want because they're jealous. See, jealousy is one of those things it's destructive. It's like being vindictive. Jealousy and vindictive is what kills. It actually kills the person jealous and vindictive. It doesn't actually affect the one. In fact, it actually feeds them. The one that they're jealous or vindictive of. So that's fascinating in itself. Now, so that's remember that this archetypal entanglement. Now, when you start doing this and thinking this way, you will have experiences like I had finding my own. Those 2 pages stuck inside as actually a magical operations book, actually, believe it or not, stuck in there. That actually, I predicted the future right down to the fucking bat forest part. And with an image of a woman that looks like Jacinta Ardern. It's just fucking fucked up beyond belief. And this is what I was able to say to you. Just wait. Just hold out. It'll all end. And New Zealand ended all restrictions the other day. Just hold out. Just wait. Some countries will take longer than others, but just wait. Whatever you do, don't be stuck in these Telegram groups where people are screaming about this fucking FEMA camps outside Mullingar, and we're all going to be brought on like trains like the Jews to Auschwitz rejected. Don't be hanging out with those people. Don't be hanging out in that world. Yes, be cautious and anyone who and get facts from people who actually deal in facts. So like there's lots of alt media people like Dave Cullen and stuff who deal in facts, so it's coming from somewhere, and then you can make your own mind up. But I'm talking about the ones who just a pure hysteria, pure like without any evidence. They'll show a fuzzy photograph and say, "Oh, here's the killing fields outside, Melbourne," and this kind of thing. That's the most poisonous thing. That's why I always say, wait, just fucking wait and hold on. Because I'm at a stage in my life where a lot of things that I needed resolution on have given me resolution. And how have they given resolution? By just waiting. Just waiting. The universe doesn't do these things in an abracadabra blink of an eye, but it does do the magic, and it does unfold them, and it does put them out in front of you. It just takes time. And when it does it in the most poetic and beautiful way. The most poetic and beautiful way. So you don't have to be like me, so has a YouTube channel and written books and makes films. It's like a lot of people have seen and read and whatever. And you don't have to. You can be anybody. I was like, before I was even known on the internet, or anywhere, I was just like this in my regular daily life. I was always off doing my own thing. I never really cared, about like other people's opinions. That's all. They never. Yeah, of course, if they're doing wicked and evil things, I do care about that. But otherwise, you can think what you want, make me give a fuck, because I know who I am, and you should know who you are as well. And that's why my name isn't like, Mr. On X or Mr. On, Photon or Phoenix Empowerment. I went out with my name Thomas Sheridan because you can check my history right back to when I was a baby. I've nothing to hide. No, did not just I've had an interesting life, but I haven't had anything to hide. Just get on with it. I don't hide behind a fake name telling other people that they gotta like be true to themselves. I don't do that. Here I am. You can find out about me since I was a kid. I've done nothing evil or wicked, and I've done things I shouldn't have done. I've made mistakes. I've been selfish and stupid at times during the course of my life, but I've never been in prison. I've never had I don't even. I got one time pulled into court over going through a red light, which was my own fault because I started a fight with the copper. I'm an argument. I don't mean to fight a fight, and other than that, nothing. and just an average person. I'm a very, you know me in real life, I'm just a regular Irish fella. That's what people are often shocked when they meet me, which I hope you'll see me at April 21st in Collinstown in County Westmeath. It's near Oldcastle in Collinstown Community Centre. You just meet me. I'm just a regular fella. But I, I see the only thing that I say I have going for me. There's only one thing. If there's one, I don't like. I don't think I'm great at really anything. But I think one thing I do have going for me is that I do see the world with a clarity. And I saw it with a clarity from a very early age as a child. I was one of those kids that was, when I was young, I was too grown up for my age in terms of how my mind operated. And I was able to, from a very early age, identify the normies and all the NPCs and all that stuff. I used to call them blids when I was growing up. And I was very aware that I would never be like any of these fuckers because I could see that their lives were just garbage. And, you know, the ones who, you look at what's happening with all these, I mean, Christian Morris hit it nicely in his recent video. He described the archetypes of the ones who went off the fight for the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. And they're all fellas who've done nothing with their lives. Nothing. And they're desperate to get some up clicks from social media or hearts, and to the point where some of them have ended up. We all know that probably most of them are dead by now. That they've actually ended up in a ditch somewhere, in a place where they couldn't even name the name of the town or pronounce it properly, with their entrails strung out behind them, 30, 40 feet, as they're trying to like walk their last few steps of their life to get some help after a cluster bomb ripped open their stomach. And they're doing that they ended up that state for likes and, you know, up tweets, so tweets and that kind of things, because they wanted to go out with a blaze of glory. And that's what happens when you do nothing with your life. When you don't fulfill your dharma, you will end up destroying yourself, believing that you're going out in a blaze of glory. So always live your dharma. But there's one collective dharma that all people have in common, and that is to not let the past drag you down, unless you've done something wicked. Like you've committed a terrible crime or something, and you should be atoning for that. But don't let the past, in terms of like people who've hurt you, or bad jobs, or bad business decisions, or anything like that, don't ever let that drag you down, because that will become something that stops the universe from wanting to make you happy, or contented is a better word. Contented by filling your dharma in future. And how you do that is you detach from the past, and the universe down the road will tell you, here's how the past ended up. And how it does it is through these archetypal entanglements. By meeting and encountering people that are reflections of the ones from your past that hurt you. And you may see them as the archetypal entanglement may be someone who's very successful. Then you know the person that you hurt is successful, or else they're in bits, decrepit, and you know that's what's happened to them. But either way, there's tremendous healing power in them. And when you have that healing power, that's when magic happens in your life, because you're actually living in the moment rather than being bonded to the past you can't change. So thanks very much for the 40,000 subscribers. I'll put that link to the article from Substack below. And those of you who've been here for a long time, thank you. Those who are relatively recent, thank you. The tribe is the tribe. I'm not the leader. I'm just part of it. We're together. And fucking love you bastards. I can't think of anything else to say except I fucking love you all. Take care. Sanguine Gnosis.